There are several elements in ascertaining leadership skill for someone that's buying your business. So, someone who's buying your business may be internal or buyer, or they could be someone who is external to your business as well. I had a buyer, three buyers that were employees of mine. And I had to ascertain their leadership skills right away. We had employees at that time, we had 18 employees, and I wanted to make sure that they could lead the company and be able to be successful into the future. So, one of the first things I wanted to find out is, do they have any experience in leadership? And what is that experience? So I had three people that bought my business. One person had been in the business for 20 years as an employee. And unfortunately, when I look back at that, I think, gosh, I should have put him through some leadership training, and I didn't. So he came in and really had no leadership training and or experience inside the business other than leading projects with customers, which you could say that's a leadership capability. Not everybody can do that. So, not to say that he didn't have any leadership, he just didn't have employees at that point. And then the second person that came in, he had been through some leadership training with a large company that he worked for. And so he had a small team of people that he led on a sales force, and which was great. That was great foundation. I think the challenge that he had, that he and I talked about, is that, he did that with a large company and not a small business. So there is a difference. The third person had some leadership, again, with projects, but not really with people as far as employees. So he led projects, led customers, that type of thing. So there was a basis on all of them of leadership, but not to the point of where they could run a company that had been in business for 31 years. And so that was the first thing, is figure out what is their leadership experience. And then my second thought was, how am I going to train them, teach them? I mean, obviously they could watch me and I could do some training, but we took some steps beyond that as well for enhancing their leadership. Communication. This one is huge to me, um, because I feel like with them, and I'll say with employees, you've got to be able to communicate well. And so that employees don't write their own narrative. So we all know, when you don't have the information that you need, you kind of make that up in your head. Oh gosh, why are they not talking about that? And I wonder if, we're going to go out of business, that type of thing. So communication, and that open communication style was huge for me in leadership skills. That's a really important part of being a good leader, is being able to communicate well. The other part of being a good leader and a good business owner is decision making. And this is an interesting one, because everybody in your life, you make decisions every day. But the question is, what does that look like? So for me as a business owner, I made hundreds, probably hundreds, I don't know if that's an exaggeration or not, of decisions every single day, just off the cuff. And I didn't have time with a lot of them to be able to figure out, is that the right decision or not? But then you have other bigger decisions that you need to make, and those decisions need to be made in with a clear path of how they're going to be made, and logically. So that was the other piece of leadership that I found was very important, is for someone to be able to quickly make some decisions, but then also be able to logically step through other decisions that are larger. Adaptability. That's another one that, in a small business, you have to be adaptable. It's constantly changing. Things are changing. It seems like every single day. It seems like there's more change in a business than there is things that are static. So you have to be able to be adaptable to that and be able to adapt to those changes and adapt to the way the business is going to grow. And then also the other piece of that is we went through a when the COVID in 2020, and that showed a lot of adaptability for my leadership team, who were eventually the owners, in that we had to do some pivoting of the business, and because we didn't know. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, is my business going to survive? What are we going to do? Do we need to do something different? What about our customers?" So that showed a lot of adaptability for my team in that. And I think they did really well. We came through without losing any employees or really having a drop in revenue. And I think it's because we acted quickly and were very adaptable to the changing environment that was there that nobody really knew about. The next one is something that is near and dear to my heart, is emotional intelligence. And just kind of give you some preview of that. I am an emotional intelligence certified coach because of the business. I felt that there was, you could do a lot of assessments for people. And then there's, are they smart enough to do the work? Are they that type of thing? But what I kept seeing, this is a little bit earlier on in the business, is that people were, emotionally not able to manage their job in the business. So we started to do emotional intelligence assessments and found the challenges that people had and tried to coach to that. So in on a leadership, your emotional intelligence needs to be higher because it encompasses everything you're going to deal with every day with customers, employees, vendors, anybody that you encounter in your work life, in your personal life, and helps you be self-aware, have impulse control, being able to control that, being able to be self-expressive. What kind of stress tolerance do you have? So we had a person that we thought was going to be a leader in the company and thought was going to be an owner of the company, and just couldn't it just wasn't working. So we did an emotional intelligence assessment on everybody, on all of us, and the areas that he came back low in, we talked about it and said, these are things that need to be worked on because your emotional intelligence, you can change that. I've seen people do it, and he just wasn't willing to do it. So that just was not going to work with the team. So we unfortunately had to exit him off the team. But emotional intelligence is a huge piece of leadership. And so this is important, even if you're not going to sell your business and you are just trying to create a leadership team so that you can step back a little bit. That is really an important part of it. And then vision and strategy. For me, this was really important for my leaders to understand the vision that I had for the company and the strategy of how the company was going to succeed and grow. When the three people that ended up buying the company came onto the leadership team, I had a vision, but I never felt like it was concrete enough. And I felt like it was, a lot of people do vision statements because they want to put it on their website or they want to do marketing material. And I thought, you know what, we need to have a solid vision that this is what we stand for. And this is what we guide the company with. So they with me helped in creating that vision statement that would lead them and the company forward. So that's very important that someone understands the current vision and then maybe be able to be adaptable enough to change and revise that vision going forward. And then, of course, team building. For me, this was really important because I had several employees that worked for me that had been there for a really long time. My concern was that they were used to me and they understood me, they understood my leadership style, and how were they going to accept new people that would eventually take over my role? So, team building was extremely important in that scenario because they had to come in and they all three of them started out as coworkers, which makes it a little bit harder, maybe. So in some ways, less difficult because people know them and trust them, hopefully, and have a good rapport. But it's still, they need to establish themselves as leaders and be able to do team building with their leadership without me. So that team building qualities were huge. And again, of the three guys, there was one on that team that he had extensive experience on team building and was really, really good at it. And he led that charge and taught, I think, the rest of us a lot about team building and how to create a team and how to have a team go forward and make that a part of the culture is that team synergy. So team building is a big part of it. And so this is just a checklist, and I hope this has been helpful to you. It's creating a leadership team is a very rewarding process, but there's, depending on your team, depending on the people, as to what piece of those items that I mentioned are going to be worked on and that you need to work on together with your team. Hopefully, this has been very beneficial to you, and I appreciate you joining me today.